manufacturing, technology, hot topics, and a little bit of tomfoolery. This is the MTD Podcast.
Welcome to today's podcast. We are here at Yamakazi UK in Worcester. What a day, guys. It's been fantastic, isn't it?
Unbelievable facility, isn't it?
You enjoyed the lunch, didn't you, Joe? You can tell.
I haven't had any lunch.
and Gio's not sitting down. He's a perfect guy for that microphone.
Well, Gio did try and sit down, but he couldn't reach the table, unfortunately.
But seriously, highlights. Give us your highlights. Let's start with you, Joe.
Wow. Where do you start? I love the collaboration, the partners, everything else. The HCN, stunning, the horizontal 5-axis machine. You speak to Mark Hall, is the oracle, isn't he? He knows everything about this industry, and Gio creates this, just
I called
everything.
that the sexy machine of today, without a doubt. You look at that, and if you owned a machine shop, regardless of whether you had the right application for it, you'd want it, wouldn't you? You look at it.
Absolutely, Paul. I think that machine's got 30,000 RPM, but 80 kilowatt of power. And it was the metal removal that really impressed me. It was absolutely phenomenal.
And did you, when I was talking to Mark about the machine, he was talking about the jerk rates and the differences between acceleration and deceleration when you involve a jerk rate. And it takes the whole movement of a machine, the dynamics of a machine and the speed of a machine to a different level. And according to Mark, and I'm sure I'm right in saying this, it's got one of the fastest or quickest jerk rates of any machine of its kind. So it's about metal removal, that machine.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, absolutely right. And the helical drilling, like you say, you call it sexy. It's not how I get my kicks, but it looks incredible, doesn't it?
It's the tipping of the table.
Yeah.
That table tips and it's upside down.
But also, not only that, the spindle's in a horizontal position. There's so many advantages to that. So one, the component is going to the spindle, not the spindle going to the component. So if you were in a vertical position, the length of that spindle going down to reach the component, you can start getting accuracy problems, vibration problems. You get so much more rigidity in this scenario.
And the fact that the table's always moving on that column as well. It's always at the same. It's got that same element of rigidity.
Yeah. Chip to chip time as well.
Exactly. Tool changer where it should be next to the spindle. But the other machine I like is the AWC. I think it's on the i500 over here with the integrated pallet pull. It's great, isn't it? It really is.
You look at that machine. That to me, I took the pallet pull out of it and looked at the machine itself, the actual 5-axis and how it's configured. It's a gantry style machine. The attention they've paid to how they built it. It's a very clean environment inside. It's a very small environment. The tool changer is neatly housed out the back. It's a quick tool change time, but you can expand on the tool changer. And the fact that you've got the gantry means you've got a huge Y-axis for a small machine. It's over 500 millimetres.
I like the attention they've paid to detail in regard to how they've manufactured it, but how they've designed it as well. So we were talking to Richard earlier, and he informed us that it's customer driven. The designs of their machines are customer driven. Mazak are giving their customers what they want. So they're talking to their customers and gaining information from their current products, and they're evolving them from customer feedback. Now that's invaluable, isn't it?
And I think from talking to Richard as well, the points he made, another record year for Yamakazi around the world.
Where does it stop?
It can only, you're kind of at the mercy of what you can deliver, really. So I don't know whether that can happen again, whether you can do another year the same. Who knows? Additive manufacturing as well, a few machines.
Yeah, where do you start? They've got 2 different, or maybe even 3 different systems here. One is, layering carbide, tungsten carbide. Where could that go? In terms of dies and things like that. Quite often they're carbide inserts, and I thought they're an absolute pain to manufacture. So if you can print them, okay, you've got to remove the material again after to finish the process.
I've got to backtrack actually. I will come back to the additive, but when we were talking about the HCN machine, Mark was saying to us that we couldn't open the door while we were machining because of the speed of the tool. If there was a problem and the carbide came off the tool, it would travel so fast, it would penetrate your body at some ridiculous speed. But we were saying how much faster it'd get through mine than Joe's.
It would bounce off me.
And we forgot to mention on that particular machine as well, me and Joe were talking to Mark, you can actually add automation quite simply onto that machine, and lots of different options of automation as well to suit your business model. So there's the flexibility that they offer as well. Their machines are modular in a way. They're adaptable, that you can have them to suit your company.
one thing I don't know if we mentioned it or not, the HCN is obviously a horizontal configuration, whereas, you know, if you haven't seen the machine, you wouldn't necessarily know that. It's based on the old, not the old HCN, but the standard 4 axis, but this is full simultaneous. Like you say, the table literally goes upside down. For machining, it's the best possible conditions, isn't it?
Yeah, swarf evacuation as well.
The J600 Integrex was here on show as well. It's a popular machine, but it had a tool changer, a 500, I think it's 500 station tool changer that was attached to the machine. So it wasn't just showing the machine off, it was showing how actually you can take some of their products and build in those elements of additional tool capacity, FMS type systems. And I think that's really where the business is, isn't it? It's about protecting themselves if there is an issue with the commodity market. The fact they've got the offerings on the turnkey and the capabilities in the solutions provider area.
To be honest, sorry, Gia, that's a great point. People talk about automating their current machine, and they've got 40 tools. With all due respect to them, if they're looking to automate low volumes overnight, it's not going to happen. You know, you need more tools than 40. You probably need 120 plus, depending on your style of work. So quite often, it's neglected, the tool changer, but if you're automating, it's definitely an important part of
and even that's a flexible solution, isn't it? So you can add to your tool pallets. You know, you can add more tools as you wish. You know, so you can start with X amount of tools and finish with, you know, another 100 tools if you like.
And tell me about gear skiving, Gio.
So basically we were talking to one of the guys that was doing R&D.
I know you like skiving, but cutting gears as well.
I've done my fair bit of skiving in my time. But looking at the gear skiving machines, I mean, gear cutting's becoming more popular than I've ever known it, for sure, and different ways to cut gears as well. Is, you know, people are looking at new technology. Now, the gear skiving machine that they've got here today on the Integrex, I believe, they're synchronising the C-axis with the tilting head to cut the gear, and it's another great way. But what the beauty about that machine is, it gives you pure flexibility. So one day if you're doing low volume gears, you can be doing the gears one day, but the next day you might want to do a 5th axis component, or the next day even turn a component.
That's all very well though, but it's a lot of money for a machine to introduce gear skiving into it, isn't it? You know, would you not just buy 2 different machines?
Well, for me, it's got to be low volume manufacturing. It's got to be low volume manufacturing. If you're making volume, I personally wouldn't put it on that machine. It's a fabulous machine, multitask, but I think that's the key to multitask. You can do lots of different elements. If you're looking to produce gears all day, every day, you would buy a gear cutting machine.
But there's not actually many gear cutting machines just for gears out there. You know, I think that, you know, you look around and you go into machine shops nowadays, you know, specialist gear cutting machines just to make gears. How many of them do you see in a workshop? Not many. Well, I haven't, for sure, not many.
Joe, how many, recite the machines that are here, without looking. Come on, what you see?
You've got the Integrex 1050T, which is the monster 5-axis that, you know, we've all seen on the channels. You've got the i500 AWC. You've got the 3 additive manufacturing machines. You've got the Integrex i500. You've got...
Needs a new pair of glasses.
Yeah.
Or another eye.
Go on, help me out, you keep going.
The Vari-axis.
Vari-axis, yeah.
The W machine, the twin spindle, twin turret machine.
Style machine. Yeah.
The
laser machine.
Turn-in sensors with the RoboJob solution. And also the laser machine. So there's a lot here. The huge Integrex machine as well, which you didn't mention.
What I like about Mazak, all we've talked about is additive manufacturing, 5-axis technology. They've got a 2-axis lathe here, you know, so they don't forget about their roots. It'd be easy to neglect. They can't make as much money on that as they do on a multi-task
How have they got
machine.
so many people here today, though? Do you think?
I think that, you know, I think
know it's quiet now. It's the end of the day.
Firstly, just touching on a point Joe just made, I think it's a good point to make in regards to, you know, having a standard simple 2-axis lathe, but it's changing the perception of customers. You know, some people may think, oh, Mazak, I can't afford a Mazak, or they, you know, but maybe you can. And to come to a place like this, you know, it's all about changing perceptions and looking at solutions. I think they're not necessarily selling a machine; they're selling a solution.
But you speak to Mazak, they want a customer for life, and they've got to help them along that journey. And there's very few startups going to buy, you know, palletized, you know, 4 or 5 axis machines. So You've got to you know, help them through that journey. Normally that starts with a VMC or a 2-axis lathe.
And it's a great philosophy that they have. We were talking to someone else again earlier that they were saying, you know, it's a new machine, it's a new technology. We don't want to just sell it to anyone. We want to make sure that it works for them. We want to make sure that it works because we want our customers to get value from anything that we sell. It's priceless.
106 registrations this morning, I think, was what I heard when I came through the door. Maybe more than that, I'm not sure.
Plus a group of 120 on top of that.
On top of that, from overseas. But outside of that, the auditorium, they always have this kind of welcome speech of what's going to be at the event and what's happening. I missed that this morning. I got stuck in traffic.
As per usual. You need to get out of bed in the morning.
I
did get the train today,
with a sticky mattress, but no, I didn't get the train today. I took the roads instead, which was a massive mistake. But digressing slightly, I missed what happened in the auditorium. What do they talk about, and how do they manage to keep them people in there?
Well, they changed their strategy a number of years ago, and I like it. That it's actually customer driven. You know, it'd be dead easy to stand there for half an hour and say Mazak of this, Mazak of that, buy this machine, buy that machine. But they get the client to explain it. You know, with all due respect, everyone within this building gets paid to promote this business, whereas their customers, they don't. So they add, you know, the MPL, which you know we had a brief chat with them earlier on, didn't we? And obviously they did a presentation on their, you know, how they've matured with Mazak over the years, the innovations they're bringing to market, and how Mazak have helped them along the way.
And what about the UK manufacturing facility? You can't dismiss that. I know we're looking at a showroom, or we've looked at the showroom today. A lot of these machines are actually built here. It's the biggest undersold machine tool manufacturing plant.
Do you know how many they make a month? Have a guess.
Tell me.
You probably know. Have a guess.
Put me on the spot.
Bear in mind it's a global facility, predominantly Europe.
How many do they make a month? 100.
Gio?
I'd say around the same as Paul, really, 100, 200.
100, 200. That's right. How fast do you drive? Oh, between 20 and 100. No, it's 100. It's in and around 100. It's always the benchmark of the industry. You know, if you're ever wondering how busy it is, ask Mazak how many machines they're building.
And you've been round that facility.
Yeah.
From start to finish.
Yeah. It's actually what's in the ETC here today is everything they preach, they practice. So you could go into the office, look on the, well, it's not a laptop, is it? It's up on the big screen. You know, you've got all the smart factory integrated. You know, they practice what they preach. Mazak machines are built on Mazak machines.
Yeah, it's like a reproduction cell.
How many, if you went to lunch day, how many of the sandwiches did Joe eat today? That's another question.
There weren't many left when I went there. I don't know if Joe had been there before me or not.
It was after his second visit.
Do you want to know the answer? 0.
Yeah.
At the pasta.
Yeah, well, and we can't forget that what we've seen today is going to happen again tomorrow, isn't it?
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, it's 3 days this time. They've reduced the time of the event as well from 9 till 3, I believe. So what's the advantage to that?
Lots of advantages, in my opinion. Anyway, I think that, you know, people, you know, haven't got all the time in the world now. Everyone's really busy. But condensing that time into a shorter week, it's good for everyone because time is a premium, really, isn't it? It's the most precious commodity that everybody's got, and it brings everyone together in a shorter amount of time.
I think that's the big thing, isn't it? That's the big thing. We can all. It's okay for us to come here, but these engineers, if they're manufacturing engineers, they're selling time, aren't they? 40, 50, 60 pounds an hour. So to come here could cost £400 or £500. But the big thing is that if you're on the motorways at 5 o'clock at night, like we're going to experience this evening, it's a nightmare. So I think it's a good thing for the event, good thing for the client.
It's quite clever though, because it's almost like, I remember when I used to work in bars years and years ago, they used to say you can only come in between certain times. You can only come in between 10 and 12. And you used to go, well, hang on a minute, I want to come in at 9, but you can't. And you've got to go by 12. So you're kind of pushed into...
so I've been told you can't have something,
exactly.
You want it even more.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Gio on his wine, you know, you can't have another glass and he's, you know...
2 bottles later.
2 bottles later. But I think that has worked well because it's been beneficial, it's condensed the time, and it has meant that people can only come in those certain periods.
Yeah, I was speaking to Richard or Alan earlier today, and why wouldn't you come here? Joking aside, you know, we come here and we were a bit lackadaisical about it. We've been here dozens of times. But what if you're in this industry, either on a machine or you're an equipment supplier, if you're not coming here, you're probably not doing your job, in all fairness.
And have you seen, probably to wrap up maybe on this, when we've come here today, what's changed what you see here? In fact, when I was having lunch today, I was talking to a guy and he said to me, last night I was watching your 2016 video and how I hadn't changed in how I looked in those 2 years.
You're slightly heavier.
But he, on a serious note, he said to me, I was watching that video. He said, did you not do one in 2017? I said, well, we did, but I'm not sure where it was. And it made me think to myself, what has changed here since that time? What do you think? What's here that wasn't there then?
In my opinion, I think there's a huge emphasis on automation. Nearly every machine that you see is automated in one way, shape or another. And if it isn't automated, it's automation ready. So you can add automation to it, whether it be third-party automation, whether it's Mazak's own automation. And I think another big change for me is the iSmart and the connectivity and the Industry 4. They've got their own kind of solution that brings all of their technologies together and it all communicates with each other, and third-party technology as well. We shouldn't forget third-party technology either that's here at the event.
Yeah, no, again, I echo everything you've just said, really. You've just, I've lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, the connectivity, yeah, it's great. People are talking about it. Are people using it? It's starting to get into, we talked about this last week, didn't we, or the week before. It's starting to get out there. Mazak have got something we can't discuss today, but next year they've got something groundbreaking coming out, which takes, the smart factory Industry 4 to the next, not Industry 5 as we joke about, but it's just another nice little feature. It's going to be on their machines that it won't change the world, but it's a very nice addition.
Could I just, the things I was going to say that I think has changed is you talk about third-party automation. I think most machine tool suppliers now are bringing in their own solutions for that. The i300 is a perfect example. 5 years ago, maybe you would have had to have bought the Mazak machine and bought a solution to attach to that machine that wasn't a Mazak product. That's changed now, and that's not just Mazak, that's most machine tool businesses, or a lot of them. That means now that they're in control of the whole solution. It's one product, it's one cell, and that's only advantageous to Mazak. And the second thing I'd say is the control, the processing speed of the control. They have the fastest, so we're told, is it the fastest control on the market? Do they say the fastest processing time?
There's a control that we won't name. It's one of the leading controls available from many manufacturers, and I think it's like 4 times faster processing speed. In fact, Mark talked about normally you could be like 500 lines behind, couldn't you? You know when you're processing data. There are only 10 behind on this new control because there's no need. It's physically impossible for the machine to go.
The hardware could never overtake the software.
Exactly.
And that's a really good point when you talk about hardware and software. And I think it's like we've seen it more and more and more. It's more prominent now. But when you're talking about hardware, maybe if you invested loads of money in R&D into your hardware, you might get 1% gain in productivity. But the gains now are all in software, and that's where the investment is going, because you might get 10%, 20% gains in productivity, and that's huge, isn't it?
Yeah, and the final one for me, we haven't mentioned tooling. We talked about that at the horizontal 5-axis machine, 30,000. You can barely hear the thing cut, and you can't dismiss the tool holder in that. It's actually a high shrink fit tool holder, and without a quality tool holder, that just wouldn't be possible. Well, it would, but the machine would be making a hell of a racket, and it just wouldn't. It's not fit for purpose. You do need. You're only as strong as your weakest link, as we always say. And when you're running at 30,000, it's got to be balanced. That tool holder's got to be balanced. To run at 30k without tool balancing, you're not going to achieve the results you desire.
But I think that leads me on to my final points, really, is the way in which Mazak are working alongside their partners to give the best solution for their customers. And I've got 2 examples. One is with IMA. So they've now purchased IMA equipment that works in harmony with all of their machines in regards to connectivity and the iSmart solution. And the second one is that they've brought in a Renishaw additive manufacturing machine, which they've put next to their own additive manufacturing machines. It's for a different solution. It offers a different solution. It does a different. It's for a different application. But it just goes to show how it's all, again, it's about solutions and offering the best solution to their customers.
Yeah, so Gio, final highlight. Got to pick one.
I think it's got to be, for me, and I know we've mentioned it quite heavily in this podcast, it's got to be the HCR 5000S, just through, in my opinion, it's revolutionised 5th axis machines.
And you can stand up now. You finished that. Mine would be the AWC, the i300. I think forget the pallet pull on it. The machine itself, that 5-axis solution, gantry machine, jig boring accuracy on it, high speed, agile, really nice product. Joe, wrap it up.
The new caterers. No, joking. I'm probably even.
They got rid of the old ones.
No, I'm going towards Geo probably. Having said that, I'm a bit of a tooling junkie, and I do like the new Heimer shrink fit. The power chuck, the heat shrink unit with connectivity. But
great day.
To be honest with you, it's all great.
Yeah. And Swarf and Chips this week dedicated to this event. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.